Wonderful. Should we get down to creating some characters for you?
Absolutely, guys.
Yes.
Populate this rediscovery company of yours. So, could I get some introductions to who we are? I can start. My name is Petri Leinonen. I will be your guide this time. And my pronouns are he, him, and I can be found on social media, Twitter with the name Alvan.
Yep. My name is Eevi Korhonen. I'll be creating some characters today, and you can find me on Twitter with the nickname Silliet, Silliet, and my pronouns are she and her.
Hello, everyone. I am Rami Laaksonen, and today I shall be doing my best to create interesting characters to them, deeper bones. My pronouns are he, him, and I can be found on Twitter at _Laaksone. That is _Laaksone. See you there, but let's play.
Wonderful. So, character creation to them deeper bones is simple. There are two schools of thought to character creation. If we go really try to figure out the basics, there is the random character creation and there is the planned character creation. Them deeper bones relies on the random character creation, so we will be rolling dice and seeing what the people who are going into these delves are like. We are using the beta 1.3 rules of them deeper bones. You can find information on how to get these rules from themdeeperbones.com. On page 17, there is short description of how this character creation works. And there are 6 steps, of which we are actually doing the first 3 and the last one. Today we will be rolling ability scores, choosing a role for the character, determining a background for the character, and coming up what the character looks like and what their name is.
So the most difficult part is last.
Yes.
Agreed.
And wonderfully, there is a table you can roll on. so
you just saved like 2 hours of my life.
And 3 of mine. Thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it, but I just spent too much time on it.
You can still spend too much time on it because there is the option to choose from the table or coming up with a name that's like one of those on the table. Which one of you wants to start?
Well, I do have my 3d6 ready, so what do we think? Is it okay?
Yep, go for it.
Okay,
wonderful.
Cool.
Okay, so ability scores. There are 6 ability scores, and anyone who has been playing D&D might find these familiar, but they are not exactly what you're used to. And let's go through the ability scores and roll your stats for those as we go through them. So the first ability score is physique, and rolling ability scores is rolling 3d6 and keeping that score and just going through the numbers. So physique is bodily power, athletic ability, and general physicality. This is the ability that is used for all physical attacks, both melee and ranged attacks. It's used for athletic endeavors, carrying capacity, and forcing doors open. It's like everything that has to do with strength or physicality in general. So what did you get?
I got 15, believe it or not, and it's really that. It's 15.
Whoa.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So because it's a 3d6 roll, the scores vary from 3 to 18, so 15 is really high. And we'll get to what that means in a moment. The second score is reflex, which is speed of movement and quickness to react. It affects how your character's armor class is, basically how hard it is to hit you, where you start in the initiative order, and the ability to dodge out of way of danger or relying on speed in some other way. So, what's your reflex?
Thank you for asking. That would be 8.
So a bit below average. The average is somewhere around 9 to 11. So 8 is a bit lower, but it's not bad. The third stat or ability score is stamina, which is, well, it's your life force. It's your quality of metabolism, how healthy you are, how long you can hold your breath or stay focused. It's how you survive near fatal wounds. How's your stamina?
Let's see. Come good rolls. 11, so on the average.
Yeah, it's good. Anything about 10 is already like this is on the you're getting bonus die territory. Then is knowledge, and this is I'd like to stop for a bit to explain why them deeper bones has knowledge instead of intelligence. Intelligence is one of those ability scores that is in many games, but it is also one that really hinders role playing. My character isn't intelligent enough to understand this, or my character should understand this because they are so intelligent. So that's why there is no such ability score in them deeper bones. Instead, it's knowledge. This is book wisdom, folklore, practical application of those, how you heal someone. And if you would be a magic user, this is the ability that tells how many spells you start the game with.
Let's go. Yes, 11 again.
Sound score. Then there is insight. And this is another one of those that has been changed, even though it's close to its original, the typical. In most games, it's wisdom, and you run into the same problems. My character wouldn't be wise enough to understand this. My character should understand this because they're so wise. Insight, on the other hand, is how perceptive you are, how good an intuition your character has, what sort of common sense you have, how good is your hand-eye coordination, and how in tune with the world you are in general, instead of relying on this sort of mental characteristic of wisdom. So insight, what you got?
Yes, for insight, our person will be getting an 11. Again, 11.
That's a good score.
Excuse me, I want those die too.
That's a good score. It's so far, it's what, 15, 8, 11, 11, 11.
Yes, that's it.
Wonderful. The last ability score, not the least, is power, and this is the character's force of will, how the willpower of the character, the force of personality they have, how good they are fighting mind-affecting magics or otherworldly charms, how they can hold their ground when something terrible is trying to frighten you. And if you are a magic user, this is the power that slowly drains away as you cast your spells and try to keep hold of things. What do you get for power?
For power, our person will be getting not 11 this time, but 10.
That's a good score.
That's a score, all right.
That's a
that's
solid
a score.
character.
Yeah, it's like having a great physique and very rounded ability scores, like in everything, makes this a very, very good starting character. I'll leave you Rami, to ponder a bit on what role you will be wanting to play. And there are 3 roles in this game. There are fighters, which, as the name suggests, are good at fighting. There are magic users who are great at casting magic. And there are experts who are good at whatever it is that they are experts in. So, physique, so bodily power.
So I got 13.
Again, good. Yeah, this is a good start.
Lucky start.
In like when I am this amazed about the physique, it's because I think in our campaign game that has 6 characters in it, the highest physique the group has is 11, and the average is somewhere around 7 or 6 or something like this. It's really bad. So 13
Our
is
characters
great.
didn't skip the gym day.
Yeah, exactly. Reflex, speed of movement, quickness.
Oh, another 13.
Whoa, nice.
Strong start. Nice.
Very strong start. You are at this point I have to comment that both of you are quite good at this physical side of things. Then there's stamina, quality of life. Well, quality of life force.
Well, this is kind of like, again, average, so 10.
Yep, that's okay. Yeah, not bad, not excellent. Knowledge, book wisdom, folklore, those sort of things.
Okay, this is where we're getting below number 6.
Not bad. It's bad, but that's just like you're not that well versed in like book wisdom, folklore, that sort of things.
Or interested, could it be?
Or interested, yeah. The characters can train. Yeah.
Gym day was more interesting than library day.
Exactly. And to say, like, in them deeper bones, it's very possible to raise your ability scores during play. So it just takes some time and some monetary investment to do so, but it's possible to start building your knowledge up later when you actually get interested in what's in the library. So insight, perception, intuition, and such.
And another solid 10.
Yep. It's a solid middle number. It's good. And last but not least, power.
And unbelievably, another 10.
No.
Nice.
Very nice. So a bit variation there, but solid physique, solid reflex. That's like, it's a great character. Like
that's like 90% of dodging traps already.
Yeah, exactly. So we have our scores. They're good scores. We have very high physique for Rami's character and good physique and reflexes for Eevi's character. And then slightly average to less in other areas. So about those roles I was mentioning to Rami earlier to think about. There are 3 roles, and fighters, if you want to fight, you pick a fighter. They really benefit from having high physique, and I'm looking pointedly at you, Rami, now.
Okay, fair enough.
But also having high reflexes and high stamina help. Magic users, on the other hand, they thrive from having high power and high knowledge. So those, if someone would have high numbers in those, I would recommend starting as a magic user, because they would get more spells and they would have an easier time keeping their spells in memory. And then there is the expert, which is a role that benefits from everything. They it's good if they have high physique. It's good if they have high reflex. It's great if they have high stamina. Good knowledge helps. Good insight helps. Good power. Well, actually, good power is sort of like, well, if they want to be personable, then good power helps. But they are a character that adjusts to any of the ability scores that they've rolled. So if you're a bit unsure, expert is a way to go. And to go back to the original order, have you given any thought to your role, Rami?
I think I have, and if it's okay, for this character having a physique of 15 would really, I don't know, lean on the fighter side of things. If this is not stepping on Eevi's character's toes, that would be horrible. Are you okay with this, Eevi?
No, it sounds like you're definitely more suited to the fighter role than I am.
Fair enough. Despite having the reflexes down to 8, but hey, you don't have to start first as long as you survive the encounter. So let's see how this goes. Physics of 15, yeah, natural selection, fighter. Thank you.
Yeah, so before we go to Eevi, I'll briefly discuss the fighter. The fighter has the biggest hit die of the game, so they are most likely to survive a hit that they receive. They always roll physique saving throws with an advantage. So if they are required to make a physique saving throw, they always roll 2d20 and take the higher of those, and whatever bonus die they get from their physique. If they make an attack roll in combat and they get a number equal or lower to their current character level, this is level 1 now that we're beginning, they can choose to re-roll their die. So they get to re-roll if they roll poorly in combat. And if they use heavy weapons, they get to use a bigger die in their damage. So they can use heavy melee and heavy ranged weapons with more efficiency than other characters can. Also, the fighter, every time they make an attack, they can adjust it by one of these 4 things. They can either make their attack more precise, they can make it more damaging, they can take a defensive stance in which when they attack, they actually are harder to hit. And the 4th option is attacking multiple targets if they are weaker than the fighter is. And the fighter gets to choose one of these each time they attack. So, to get back to choosing your role, have you considered, Eevi, what role you would like to play? You have basically a very well-rounded character, maybe except for a slight deviation there.
I will learn about the world when I get to it. That's my strategy. Yeah. So it sounds like I think make for a good expert here.
Expert, you said. I'll first let you know what the expert can do, and then we'll go to what sort of an expert you are. So while the fighter had the hit die of a d10, the expert has a hit die of d6. So it's a bit more perilous to get hit if you are an expert. You always roll reflex saving throws with advantage. So you had what, 13?
Yep.
So it would be do 2d20, keep the higher of those, and then add the d4 to it when you roll reflex saving throws. You also get access to a few expert skills. You can find these starting from page 23 of the booklet. So there's expert maneuvers, which means that whenever you're attacking in combat, you can, in addition to dealing damage, try to perform a combat maneuver, which is something like tripping the enemy, disarming them, throwing sand in their eyes, or whatever you come up with. Then there is imperfect control. Every time a combat situation starts, you go first.
Nice.
Yes.
Verb.
It's just like every combat encounter, you are the first one to act. If there would be two experts, you probably could figure out which one of you goes first. But it's like experts always go first in combat. On if the combat lasts longer than the first initiative check, then you roll as normal. Then there is exploit weakness, which is if you want to just not do anything, you can increase your the damage you do against the target. Basically, if you have a moment to evaluate which would be the best way to attack someone, you get a bonus to the damage. Tinker with magic, you can attempt to activate any magic item you come across. So even if you have no idea what it does or how it's activated, you can just try, and yeah. Then there is uncanny expertise, and this is the part where being an expert means you are really good at what you're doing. You get additional bonus die to things that relate to your background, which we'll determine in a moment. So you are even more likely to get high results when dealing with things that are your forte. So if you're an expert beekeeper, anything that has to do with beekeeping, you get a bonus die. If you are an expert, I don't know, archaeologist, then it's archaeology, and so on. And finally, experts can understand the world. You can try to decipher the idea of any text you come across, no matter what language it is, or if you've even seen the language before. It's basically saying that, okay, there is this text here, and it's probably saying that this direction is bad. You don't know what it exactly says, but you know the basic idea what it's trying to tell you. You don't know the words, but you understand the meaning. And
so I'm basically like any of those movie action hero archaeologists. Like, I have seen this language before, and suddenly I can make a very educated guess without anything else.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the experts' special skills. Magic user would have skills that help them cast magic, surprisingly. So, what are you an expert of? And that is the background. And backgrounds are things that your characters have been doing before they joined the Rediscovery Company. And there are 20 example backgrounds per character role, but these are, of course, not the only things your character can be. But if you want to use the backgrounds provided, Rami, if you can flip to page 33 of the beta 1.3 rules.
And here, thank you.
You'll find 20 example fighter backgrounds, which can be rolled with 1d20, or if you want to just choose one from the list, that's okay as well. Or if you come up with something other than one of these, that's
Thank
cool
you,
too.
Guide. I think I'll be doing the rolling now. Let's see how it goes. And the lucky number would be 15, 5.
That would be the squire who was left behind.
So, but of course they were.
Yeah, so you've been a squire for probably a knight or a Templar or someone, and well, now you're not. All you got from this, one thing that comes from background is you get your weapon. Everyone has a weapon at the start of the game, and a practical item. For the squire, you get a long sword, and you get a shield.
As the practical item, because shields are practical items. Yes. Okay, I have a shield. Yes.
This is a good one. But yeah, you have a slightly sad backstory. You were left behind. But anything that has to do with you being a squire, you get to roll with advantage, because anything that relates to your background, you get to roll with advantage. This is a nice one.
It is.
Okay, so Eevi, for you, the page to turn to is 32, so the previous page from Rami, and there's 20 expert background suggestions. You can choose or you can roll.
I'm gonna roll. It's more fun that way. I got lucky number 18. So that
18.
is stonemason looking for a cause.
Yeah, so you're a mason, and you have a hammer, and you have actually two items. You have a chisel and a spirit level. One of those things that show if something is straight. Like there's a liquid, and inside the liquid there is a air bubble that moves if it's on level or not. So very useful items when going out there and you're looking for a cause. So that's interesting.
Immediately sets me up with interesting, probably interesting plot developments in the future, especially when it comes to those heretical or rebellious things.
Exactly. And as said, as an expert, you get an extra D4 when things relate to your stonemasonry background. So in addition to getting the advantage to those rolls, you get an extra D4. So it's you're really good at this. Yeah, and at this point, we would normally go and do shopping, getting you equipped with starting equipment and some silver pieces you can use to buy extra equipment. But because that's one of those places where we spend a good while looking at the item list and wondering what we can buy with our let's say 12 silver pieces. In this case, we will magically, through the use of video editing, skip that part and skip the part where we note down the armor class from those as well, and go to the final section of character creation, and that's what the character looks like and what their name is. Since we will be playing in the default setting, there are some tables to help generate the names and birthrights. These are the magical things about you that affect the way you look. If we start with the birthrights and end with the names, if you can turn to page 70, there is a table about those birthrights. And let's start with Rami again. If we're going fully random, and of course we are, then roll a d4 twice and take the lower result of those. So if you get a 1, if you get a 1 and a 4, that's a 1.
I get a 3 and I get a 2, so that's number 2.
Okay, so that means you have 2 magical birthrights.
Aha.
You have 2 things that show that some form of magic has touched you. Let's roll 1 first and the second then. So a d8 shows which type of magic has touched you.
That would be the second type, so number 2.
So you are an earth touched, and then there are 20 traits that are on the page 72, so 2 pages forward, and a d20 roll.
Right. For this birthright, I get again a number 2 on the d20 roll. Yes.
So your fingernails are almost claw-like and crystalline.
But of course they are.
Naturally. Then roll another d8 to get the second birthright.
One moment, please. D8 is coming, and that would be number 8.
That's void.
Okay.
That's
Anti-magic.
anti-magical. And void traits are on 78. And
78.
D20.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then D20, yes. Okay.
D20. And void traits are often described as creepy.
Well, this creepy person has the result of 5.
5. Body odor has a slight stale twist to it.
Well, they are fighters, so that, comes with a job, but okay, that's twice as bad. Okay.
Yeah. So those are small things that shape what your character looks like. You can now wonder what sort of a person they are apart from these, while we do the same for Eevi's character. So,
good luck, Eevi. Gonna be
let's
great.
start with that. Do 2d4 roll and take lower.
So that's a 3 and 1. So 1.
So 1. Yeah. So you have 1 trait. And
Have one trait.
Yes. And a d8 to determine the type.
That's a 7, so darkness.
Darkness, yes. So a d20.
And it's a 20.
You have a dark halo behind you when you're standing in a shadow.
I must be fun at parties. Very, very trustworthy looking person in the corner.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to come and talk to me.
And this isn't in the official rules, but if you only have 1, then I usually point out that that's probably very prominent. So it's something that's hard to miss if in a normal situation. These don't affect gameplay, so it won't hinder you. But if you have this dark halo, but in a social situation, it's very it's clear that you have it if you're standing in a shadow. Wonderful. And I'll give you the same suggestion to start thinking what your character looks like, and while I return to Rami. And have you had some time to think about what this person looks like?
I'm sketching them already. Let's see how it goes. I'm not much of a drawer, me, but I'm getting something with red hair, perhaps some kind of like a beard, so it gravitates towards the male person. Let's see how it goes. And something red, and then very, very pale complexion, and these crystalline claws. And having left behind, he's always looking at the figures of power, like they will never come to our aid. I mean, we are the Rediscover company. We have to do everything by ourselves. We have to be, self-reliant, and because those, let's say, knights or they won't be there when we need them anyway. We have to be the power for the others, perhaps. Leading by example. Let's see how it goes. So something it's starting to form, strangely enough, from these die rolls, and it's interesting. And of course, that I also smell of upturned earth helps a lot in social connections, does it not? Let's see.
Yeah. So if you want to turn to page 66, I assume you are using a masculine name.
Yeah, I would be perhaps. Now on page 66, as per your order. Yes, let's go.
There are 100 names, and the ones in the beginning are modern names. The ones in the end are like old-fashioned names, and the further you go down the list, the more old-fashioned it gets.
Okay.
So if you want generic name, roll D66, which is 2 D6s and 1 is 10s and 1 is 1s. If you want young person, maybe something like 2 D20. If you want mature person, 5 D20. If you want a totally random name, roll a D100.
Since there was some promise in this person before, I mean, they were a squire, right? Or he was a squire. It might be okay to have a totally random selection or something that goes towards the end part. So something like noblish spark in this person. Let's see.
So
how would I roll?
if you want like old-fashioned name,
Sure.
then roll 3d10 and add 70 to it.
Add 70. Okay, 3d10 upcoming. 1 moment. 14, 15, 16, and add how many? 16 plus
70.
Okay,
70 plus 3d10.
Okay, so there we go. 16 on top of that. That would be 86. 70.
Yes. So Guiti.
My name is Guiti, is it? Really?
Yes.
Okay, interesting. Yes, I am Guiti. It is true. It is true. Not sir, never sir. Not now, not ever. But Guiti it is. Thank you.
Wonderful. Then Eevi, who is your character? What do they look like? And yeah.
I'm kind of leaning towards androgynous, but maybe with a kind of like slightly slighter, kind of like thin, tallish build with kind of like dark blue skin. Like, you know, sun is setting or sun has just set, and it's kind of like that early night blue sky skin, and then probably like even darker, but still kind of blue tinted hair. So kind of like maybe even ravenish hair, but kind of like in the right light, it catches that kind of like purple bluish kind of like highlight to it, and kind of like long hair in a ponytail, and with a very kind of like sharp shaped eyes. So they're kind of like, you know, maybe a little bit disconcerting to look at sometimes.
Cool. Sounds really cool. Do you lean towards a feminine or masculine name, or should we figure out something that's maybe one or an adjusted?
Maybe feminine, and let's see if it's kind of like maybe adjusted towards more androgynous direction.
Yeah, it's probably easiest to drop the vowel at the end to get an androgynous version of a feminine name. But again, modern names are this is on page 67. And modern names are at the beginning of the table, and more old-fashioned are towards the end.
I think I'll take a younger character, someone who probably hasn't had that, because the knowledge roll was so low that they're kind of like still a little bit maybe in that kind of like I haven't bothered to learn about the world yet. So I do the 6/6 with 2 d6s.
Yep.
So I got 41. And
41 is Orja. So that would probably, if turned to a more neutral, that would be Ori. Because I at the end is quite masculine, but Ori on the other hand is very feminine sounding. So it's something in between. So Ori.
Yeah. Ori. Yeah. That sounds good.
Wonderful. So mark that on your character sheet, and we are ready to adventure.
Exciting.